She talked about student debt. She talked about mortgages. She talked about all kinds of economic issues pertaining to working families. She talked about bankruptcy.
In 2011, in a living room in Boston, Elizabeth Warren was thinking about running for the U.S. Senate. Joyce Linehan remembers it well.
It was incredible. My friends, there were some of them. So people in the room would have been, social workers, artists, teachers, neighborhood activists. So there was a pretty good, range of kind of people in there, and they were all really, really taken with her. I can't say there weren't tears, but everybody, to a person as they walked out the door, said, if she's in, I'm in.
At one house party in Andover, someone was recording.
There is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. Yep. You hired workers, the rest of us paid to educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for.
It was a speech that went viral and got people talking.
Will new taxes on the rich solve anything? What do you make of Elizabeth Warren's comments that everybody who succeeded in doing anything in the United States of America has been successful because of the government?
I think it's the best advertisement I've seen in a long time for limiting the size and scope of government. It's terrifying.
Elizabeth Warren had never run for office, but did have a knack for explaining things as a Harvard Law School professor.
No one seems to particularly like many law school professors. They're not warm and cuddly types. But there was a joy in what she did. And that joy translates. She had to be persuaded to run. She saw herself as, sort of a classic progressive appointed policymaker, even though she had earned her political chops and knew how to wheel and deal behind the scenes along with the best of them. But she did not think she was destined for electoral office.
Before she was a political candidate, Warren was a consumer advocate. She had spent years studying why people go bankrupt, collecting data from courts across the United States. She found
that about 90% of all bankruptcies result from one of three factors: unexpected medical bills, unemployment, and divorce. And so she actually became kind of an advocate for vulnerable people in America who, due to circumstances most often beyond their control, ended up in extreme financial distress.
Dennis Kelleher is president of Better Markets, a nonpartisan group promoting financial reform. He has known Elizabeth Warren for more than 20 years.
People may not know the details of what she did or what her policies are, but the one thing you can be sure of is that Liz Warren has been fighting her entire life for the little guy and the little gal.
Building a credit card is more profitable than building any other kind of consumer lending, and within that, the revenues are coming $7 to 1 for building in interest rates and late fees where you can snag customers whenever they slip and fall at all. It's about tricks and tricks.
We don't have the time to go into that. Thank you.
When markets melted down in 2008 and banks needed a bailout, Warren was picked to chair a congressional panel, watching how taxpayer money got spent.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary. We appreciate your returning here to testify. Time is running out to make certain that we have used this money to assure the stability of our financial system. Time is also running out to make certain that TARP money is used to help families and small businesses the way it was so quickly used to help Wall Street.
As Congress passed new financial regulations, Warren had an idea for a new government agency, an agency that would help enforce those regulations.
Good afternoon, everybody. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau will be a watchdog for the American consumer, charged with enforcing the toughest financial protections in history. Now, getting this agency off the ground will be an enormously important task, a task that can't wait. And that task is something that I've asked Elizabeth to take on. We are extremely proud of you, Elizabeth. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But Warren never got to lead that new agency. President Obama named someone else over worries Republicans would block her confirmation.
She deserved it. It was her idea. It was her passion, her commitment. She was the logical and obvious choice.
Sheila Bair is a Republican and former chair of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. She first met Elizabeth Warren as part of an advisory committee on consumer issues.
This idea that she wants government control of everything and it's going to, put everybody in jail and blow everything up, that's just not who she is. She wants accountability.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, opened for business in 2011.
Within its first 5 years or so, it actually recovered more than $12 billion for over 25 million ripped-off Americans from financial institutions.
Back in Boston, Elizabeth Warren went from battling the big banks to being on the ballot. In 2012, she became the first female senator from Massachusetts.
This victory belongs to you. You did this. You did this. You did this.
Warren has been the primary sponsor of 7 bills that became law, legislation that includes protections for veterans and their finances, and privacy rules for people who are the subject of genetic research. 7 years into her political career, at age 70, she's now running for president. It is a campaign built around specific policy proposals to restructure how government works and who it works for.
And I got a plan. Yeah, I got a plan for that.
She's just so whip smart, it comes naturally to her. And so I don't agree with all of her policies, but I trust that she's thought them out well, that they're well intended and focused on the right problem, which is the public and the middle class in particular.
But critics say her plans are unworkable, and in this political climate, they would not get far in Congress.
Getting anything done legislatively, as long as the Republicans control the Senate, is an impossibility. So you have to look at Elizabeth Warren's great array of policies as a roadmap to how she would use the administrative state to reshape the political and economic realities of the United States.
The Democratic candidates debate.
Warren faces another challenge, a crowded field of Democratic candidates, including one named Bernie Sanders.
I want to say thank you to Bernie.
Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders share the same ideological space. Their message is very similar to voters. It's the idea that the system is rigged. Should the two of them stay in the race, they could end up splitting the vote and the support on the far left of the party. And that gives a moderate a real good shot to, catapult to the nomination.
Just 3 things, 3 structural changes. We got to fight back against the corruption.
In her run for the presidency, Warren is using the same skills Joyce Linehan saw back in that living room in Boston in 2011. Each campaign stop is a classroom.
That was her magic power, her ability to tell the story about how the economic system is not working for people. Not like they didn't know, they knew they could feel it, but she could explain why it was happening and what we could possibly work on to undo that. So I think teacher is really the thing that sets her apart from a lot of other politicians I've seen over the years.
Today, a full-time minimum wage job in America will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. That is wrong, and that is why I am in this fight.